In the trash bin by the pork stall at the market, that pile of yellow fat resembling chicken fat turned out to be human tissue. As soon as the report came in, Patrick Cook rushed to the scene. Seeing her old partner arrive, Mom let out a sigh of relief. "Pat, this is serious." Patrick frowned and nodded. Dismembered body parts found at a pork stall in the market. Any one of those words alone was enough to send the entire city into a frenzy. To prevent public panic, Patrick ordered the closure of all the meat stalls in the market. He asked Mom, "How long will it take to analyze all these specimens?" Mom's expression was grave. She was a dedicated and responsible forensic pathologist. "At least 2 days." I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. With Mom's capabilities, she would definitely catch the real murderer soon. Patrick's frown eased slightly. "Make arrangements at home. Stay at the precinct for the next few days." Mom nodded and casually pulled out her phone. The moment the call connected, the stern and professional forensic pathologist softened into someone warm and gentle. "Freya, Mommy has to work late for a few days. Stay home and don't go out, okay? If you need anything, ask Mr. Ingram next door, all right?" Only after giving detailed instructions did she finally hang up, reassured. Patrick saw her turn to get into her car, and quickly called out to her. "Aren't you going to call Aubrey? Give her a heads up and tell her to be careful." Mom's face darkened instantly. "I hope she dies out there. I never want to see her again." I gave a helpless, bitter smile. So even a soul could feel pain. Mom said she never wanted to see me again. But I was right here, standing in front of her. Among all these specimens she was studying so intently, quite a few pieces came from my body. She just hadn't recognized me yet. After 2 days and nights of relentless work, Mom finally separated the human tissue from the animal tissue. The results shocked everyone. Patrick stared at Mom in disbelief. "You're saying only a quarter of this is human?" Mom's face was ice cold as she nodded. "Yes." A heavy silence fell over the room. They had initially assumed the only missing part was the head. No one expected that so much of the body was missing too. If human tissue had somehow ended up on the public's dinner plates, the entire city would be thrown into utter chaos. The higher-ups were taking this matter very seriously. The situation was growing more and more complicated. Patrick's gaze swept across the display rack and landed on a particular specimen. He picked it up and handed it to Mom. "What about this?" My soul grew restless. Finally, they were about to find out. I believed that once Mom realized I was the victim, she would definitely uncover the real culprit. Mom's expression remained stern. "I was just about to bring this up. This is our only real lead so far. The deceased has a scar on the ankle. DNA comparison takes time, but adding this detail will speed up the process." Patrick frowned slightly. "Aubrey has a scar on her ankle too, if I remember correctly." Patrick wasn't just my parents' old partner. He had also been our next-door neighbor for over 20 years. "That scar on my ankle? I got it when I was riding on the back of his bicycle, and my foot got caught in the wheel." Patrick remembered this all along. Before he could finish speaking, Mom cut him off furiously. "Pat, don't say another word. I know you're trying to smooth things over between me and Aubrey, trying to get me to care about her again. But every time I think about her, all I can see is Daniel's death. I will never forgive Aubrey for as long as I live. She is the one who killed Daniel." A sharp pain stabbed through my chest, so intense that even my soul trembled. All these years had passed, and Mom still couldn't forgive me. I was the one who killed Dad. I deserved to die 1,000 times over. Years ago, my aunt and uncle died in an accident, leaving my cousin Freya an orphan. Dad felt sorry for her. She was alone in the world, so he took her in. But Freya and I never got along. We were always arguing over the smallest thing. 3 years ago, on a rainy night, we had a huge fight. Furious, Freya ran out of the house. Dad drove out to look for her. On the way, he got into an accident and died on the spot. Mom called me a murderer and said I killed Dad. She threw me out of the house and never looked back. She said Freya was the only bloodline of the Nicholson family left in this world and treated her like her own daughter. And now I had been murdered in the cruelest way possible. The murderer had finally received the harshest punishment. Would Mom ever forgive me? As soon as Mom walked out of the police station, her phone rang. Grandma's anxious voice came through the speaker. Grace, Aubrey is missing. Hearing Grandma's voice made my heart clench. If she knew I was dead, how heartbroken would that kind old woman be? After Mom kicked me out, Grandma took me in. She and Mom had never gotten along, and after she took me in, they cut ties completely. Mom scoffed dismissively. She's pulling this childish stunt again? Does she still think she's 3 years old? Grandma's voice was worried. But I haven't been able to reach her for 3 days. Before Grandma could finish, Mom snapped at her. I told you, I don't want to hear another word about that disgrace. Then, she hung up and blocked Grandma's number. When Mom got home, the first thing she did was go to Freya's room. Freya, I'm back. Her voice was warm and gentle, just like any loving mother's. I used to have that love too, but not anymore. Now she was only Freya's mother. Freya got up and threw herself into Mom's arms, clinging to her. Mom, you've been so busy. I haven't seen you in days. I missed you so much. Mom stroked her head affectionately. Don't worry. As soon as I wrap up this case, I'll take some time off and bring you to Saxondale. Saxondale. That was the place I had always dreamed of going, where I had wanted to watch the flag-raising ceremony. Now all those beautiful things belonged to Freya. Freya beamed and nodded, then casually asked, Mom, is this dismemberment case really difficult? Do you think you'll catch the killer? Mom, ever the professional, immediately caught the key detail. Freya, how do you know it's a dismemberment case? My heart tensed. If they started looking into Freya, they'd be able to find the killer quickly. Freya froze for a second, but she recovered fast. She buried herself in Mom's arms, whining sweetly. You called me that day and I got worried about you. I know the station has rules, so I didn't dare to ask, but I looked it up online and found out about the case. Even though Patrick had locked down the information in time, this was the digital age. Rumors still spread like wildfire. Mom's frown finally relaxed as she hugged Freya, full of concern. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I curled up in the corner, dejected. Another lead was gone. 2 days after my murder, Patrick received a police report. 2 miles from the market, a motel staff member had found what appeared to be human remains. The caller was a housekeeper at the motel. While cleaning a recently vacated room, she noticed something strange. The place had been tidied up too thoroughly, as if no one had ever stayed there. The only exception was the bathroom. The drain was severely clogged, and water had pooled up. She used a plumbing tool to clear the blockage and pulled out a pile of tiny flesh fragments. A sick feeling crept over her. She immediately reported it to the motel owner. But the owner, afraid of hurting business, chose to cover it up. Not only that, he also destroyed the security footage and guest records from those days. For 3 nights in a row, the housekeeper was haunted by nightmares. Unable to bear the psychological torment any longer, she finally called the police. When Mom received the news, she rushed to the crime scene. My soul followed, returning to the place where I had been killed. The moment I stepped into the room, a wave of resistance surged through me. Horrifying memories of my final moments flooded my mind. The only way to suppress the fear deep within my soul was to stay close behind Mom. With a single glance, Mom recognized the flesh fragments as human remains. In the bathroom, she found bloodstains on the walls. It didn't take long for her to conclude that this was the primary crime scene. The case was becoming clearer. With a cold expression, Mom laid out her analysis. The victim is a female, with an estimated age between 20 to 22 years old. The victim's height is around 5 feet 2 inches. There is an old scar on her left ankle. Based on the level of decomposition, the time of death was approximately 1 week ago. Evidence suggests she was likely tortured before she died. A young officer listening to the report let out a heavy sigh. She was so young. How much hatred does it take to do something this brutal? Patrick hurried over to Mom. Your mother just filed a report. Aubrey has been missing for a week. You need to check this out. Mom snapped, her voice laced with fury. Pat, we're dealing with a major homicide case here. Instead of focusing on solving it, you're playing along with that walking disaster's vanishing act? Where's your professional integrity? Patrick frowned. I'm worried about Aubrey. She's only 21. The young officer, who had just been lamenting how tragic the victim's death was, suddenly spoke up. 21? The victim's estimated age range is 20 to 22. Could it be? Before he could finish, Mom shot him a fierce glare. Are you as obsessed as your superior? I already told you. It's not Aubrey. Stop wasting time. Eliminate all false leads. If we can find the victim's head, we'll be able to confirm her identity. The moment Mom finished speaking, a detective rushed into the room. Patrick, we've restored the motel's security footage. The possibility of identifying the victim reignited everyone's energy. Patrick immediately plugged the USB drive into the computer. Just then, Mom seemed to remember something and turned to Patrick. Pat, my work here is done today. Today's Freya's birthday. I need to go home and be with her. The instant the footage appeared on the screen, Patrick's pupils contracted sharply. He immediately shouted at my mom's retreating back. Hold up, Patrick called out. Mom stopped in her tracks and turned around. Patrick pointed at the surveillance footage. Look at this figure. Doesn't it look like Aubrey?